Cue the music. Go, Marcus. The show is called DYNO and the Yogi Shaman.
Fucking DYNO.
DYNO and the Yogi Shaman. And today we've got Watermelon. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Yogi Shaman here with DYNO and Watermelon.
Yeah. This is going to be fun. We got all kinds of fun stuff going on.
I got to set up my watch because we got to do 1 hour.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good.
Contractual obligations begin now. So
the beauty is the Yogi Shaman, nobody knows anything about him. Nobody knows anything about DYNO. Nobody knows about anybody in the back here. Utkarsh, he's hiding out in the back. He'll do some video for us. But Watermelon is our very first guest.
Famous amongst nudists and stoners, so, glad to be here tonight. Thanks for having me.
Oh.
especially famous amongst nudist stoners.
Yeah, definitely. If you're both of those things, you're probably a huge fan, so.
I think at that
Shout
point,
out to those guys.
I think at that point we have to say, explain this. This has got to be like, if anybody doesn't know who you are and what you are, first of all, you're the Licorice lady, right?
Yes, I'm the Licorice lady.
But let's get into the good stuff. Wreck Beach, is that where it started, or were you Watermelon before Wreck Beach?
No, I became Watermelon on Wreck Beach.
Okay, how did that happen?
I sold watermelon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and people just call you by what you sell. Kind of like there's a guy who sold Jello shooters. We called him Jello Matt or just Jello. There was a guy who used to sell beer, but he carried 2 coolers, and we called him 2 Cooler John. So just they call you by what you sell, or they're always calling like watermelon.
And this is Wreck Beach, the world famous, the best beach in the world for nudists.
We just got voted #1. But you know what? We get voted #1 about every 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we know we're #1.
So why are you #1?
Well, Wreck Beach is the #1 best nudist beach.
How many have you been to?
Not that many.
So how would you know?
Well, I've been to a couple. I think Wreck Beach is the winner, just for its beauty and prestige.
It's isolated, too.
It's
like a different world.
isolated. It's a bit of a different world. Yeah, you really got to want to be there.
There's a bit of a community, though, isn't there? Like
Oh,
a
yeah.
bunch of characters?
I was literally on Wreck Beach 2 days ago when the sun, was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago.
Oh, that wicked sunset?
Well, yeah, there was really good sun, and I was down there. The sun probably went away at about 3 o'clock, 3:30, but for an hour it was beautiful.
And who are the people that always have that big silver wall?
That's us.
Oh, okay.
We're the people.
Oh, okay.
Big silver wall, what are you talking about?
Yeah, explain that if you
It's
can.
just they put up a tarp, so they'll put up. So if all we need is a bit of sunshine, we'll put up a tarp. The tarp will grab the sun, but also probably strategically block the wind.
Oh, okay.
And then the real key is after you've put the tarps up all behind you to grab the sun and block the wind, the key is to throw tarps now down in front of you. So you're in sort of this like cooker and the sun reflects off. And so it's actually roasting. There was like 50 nudists down there 2 days ago just sitting there in the tarps.
And it makes it hot even though it's cold outside.
Yeah, you got to stay within the parameter of those tarps, but yeah.
It works good, eh?
So the
Climate change could be solved with those tarps.
Oh, I don't
some
know
nudists.
about that, but
So tell me about like the community of Wreck Beach. Like it's got to be like it's just a bunch of friends or just people you get to know and it becomes a community. Some people you like, some people you don't like. How's it all work?
I'm sworn to secrecy.
Oh, okay.
No.
You don't have to say anything you don't want to.
I don't know.
Is there a secret society at Wreck Beach? Because
No.
there should be.
No, I think you know what it is. I think what happens is it's just people who go dedicatedly for year after year after year, and then you become family by default with those people. Like I was literally just in Peru for 3 weeks with a lady named Lucy who's been selling empanadas on Wreck Beach for like 34 years. Lucy.
Do they call her Lucy Empanadas?
Sanchez. Well, everybody, anyways, everybody, Lucy, like she's famous. I mean, if you go down there, she's famous, I guess.
What's an empanada go for?
Like $4 or something. Like, well, Wreck Beach still has the best price in the world too. Like, we're still
No
the
tax.
cheapest. Like, I think beers, they might have gone to $6 beers. Try to get a beer for $6 in a bar, and these people got to haul them down on their back with all the ice and keep them cold. Come on. We're actually the greatest price ever down there.
Okay, so you're still down there once in a while, but you're not selling watermelon.
Yeah, I retired. I think I
Didn't
retired.
when you get arrested in 2001?
Yep.
April 8th.
What?
September
8th, 2001.
Yeah, 3 days
The
before
whole
9/11.
beach stood up and in protest.
Yeah, it was a great day.
Tell us about that.
I was solicited and entrapped.
They said, I
By
want to
undercover-
buy some watermelon. Will you sell
Well, they
me
were
some?
undercover,
watermelon was
like undercover police officers disguised as glaucoma patients.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding. I sold a pot cookie to an undercover officer, but in my defense, he had a nose ring. And what's so funny is there's this guy, Lizard Johnny. He's a staple down there for years, and. Finally, like, I'm hanging out near Johnny, and he's like, oh, thank God that fucking undercover cop's gone. And I was like, which one? And he's like, duh, the one with the nose ring. And I was like, no way.
So he was naked? The undercover cop was naked?
I don't think he was. I think he
Hiding
had a
that.
nose ring. I think he had a nose ring. He had a nose. I don't know. But Johnny knew. I'm like, you need to teach classes in this, Johnny. Like, you got to help people. But now weed's legal. Nobody gives a shit anymore. Like,
Really? If you're on Wreck Beach selling weed cookies now? No problem?
No, like the
No,
market's
you're still
saturated.
not allowed to do that. Yeah, exactly.
And the market's saturated.
Yeah, but that's
I
not the same
don't
problem.
do that. I don't sell
you'd
anymore.
have no legal issues.
But if you want to buy some wholesale cookies and sell them, no, I'm just kidding.
Yogi, she sells
No,
sugar.
I don't tan well. I'm
She's
too fair for that.
She now is in a different business. She sells sugar to small children.
No, we're really an
And big
adult
children.
candy store,
Kidding,
to
I'm
be
kidding.
honest.
Okay, well, explain that.
Well, we're a licorice parlor, so we appeal to adults.
Where's it? Where are the locations?
I have one on Commercial Drive and one on Granville
What's
Island.
it called?
Commercial Drive Licorice Parlor, and the other one's Granville Island Licorice Parlor.
Okay, so you say it's adults. Explain that.
Adults pay the bills. We don't. It's not really a child oriented. Like, it's actually appeals to adults because
I'm gonna go get the licorice. You keep talking.
it's a bit of a soda fountain kind of meets apothecary, and so
Apothecary.
yeah, kind of. No, but I have all my stuff in glass jars. It's all behind me. Do you know what I mean? We kind of dole it out like
Old-timey.
old timey, right? It's like being a bartender, but no cocktail is ever. Like 6 of those, 12 of those, 8 of those, 16 of those. But yeah, and we let kids in the store. I mean, fine, you can come in. But also we're a licorice parlor, so it's I don't know. Kids who like licorice love licorice. But candy and licorice and candy stores are wrapped up in people's childhood. This is what I've learned after 11 years of owning a candy store. Like, kids don't have, like, I love memorabilia, I got Pop Rocks in there and those old Astro Pops, the ones with like the it's almost like red and yellow and blue, and you used to suck on them and then try to bite them off. Do you know those Astro Pops? Anyways, they're terrible.
Yeah.
They're
Like
so bad
toffee
for your
candy.
teeth. Every parent's like, oh my God, I used to have one of these as a child. You have to have one.
We're sponsored by XY Dentist today.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, candy is a nostalgia thing. And there's lots of candies like if people love floral gums, they're horrible. I'm like, did you grow up with floral gums? They're like, yeah. I'm like, that's why you like them. Like, you wouldn't consciously as an adult choose those to
What are
be.
floral gums?
They're just this floral tasting hard candy from Britain, right? So they're really kind of hard to chew, and they taste like flowers. So which is really that tastes like soap. They're soapy
I've
kind of.
had that. What about the
And,
banana that melts in your mouth? That one too, right?
Yeah. So whatever you had as a child, right? It's really wild. I thought I was just running a candy store, but maybe I'm part, psychologist, part, candy store owner, part,
'Cause people relive
community.
their childhood.
The candy store also is like a great place for kids to learn the value of money because there's a high school across the street. So, like, the kids don't give a shit about money until it's time to go buy candy, and then they're like, "Wait, how much can I have for this?" So we're, the local candy store is really, it's like the glue that binds the neighborhood together, right? It's an important little hub in the neighborhood.
Kids learn about saving their money.
Yeah, and we have
Counting
great
the
quality candies, and we can talk about them, or we talk about food dye, and we have them all labeled like gluten-free or gelatin-free or contains dairy or contains food dye. So we've broken this all down for you. That's pretty adult-oriented or whatever, but...
You got high school kids coming in there buying candy?
Yeah, we're right across from Britannia High School, right? Like, yeah, of course we do.
So are there big spenders?
You know what? Some of them are. Yeah, these kids got a lot of money, some of them, for candy. I don't know. And it's funny because I'm 11 years old. So, like, it's like the biggest change in a kid's life. So these kids
You look
who are...
older than 11. Not that insane.
No, my candy store is 11. So, like, kids who were coming in when they were 5 or 6 or 7 when I first opened are like 16, 17, 18 now, They're like men, right? And they started coming in when they were 6. So it's actually, yeah, it's really... I don't know. My candy store is really a lot of fun, actually. It was all a happy accident, and boy, what a lot of fun it is to own a candy store. I just saw a for rent sign on the old Dutch Girls and just knee-jerk responded and rented it and had no idea what I was going to do.
Oh, really?
I wanted to sell my pot cookies out the back. I wanted to be a front for my drug operation, but it was going to be so obvious.
Good movie. It's coming soon.
It's going to be just a bit too obvious. So then I had to open a real candy store. And now, voila, there's no fucking weed business. But
Still people selling weed.
Yeah, but there's no money, to be made. You can't pay your rent in this town or anything anymore on that. But Licorice has come to the rescue. It's going to be my retirement plan.
So you're not going to have to even keep the business open? You're just going to have so much money saved up that you can retire?
No, my businesses, they go on. They've got a shelf life of another 15 years easy, whether I'm at the helm or not. No, they're rock steady.
So why not expand?
It's just a lot of work, right? And
Yeah.
it's just a lot of work. Like, sometimes just making more money doesn't equate to more happiness. This is a real great lesson I've learned in my life. And I've been a bit of an entrepreneur and a hustler all my life, so I've just learned the art of, like, churning money when I want to churn money. But maybe lately, now that I'm older and wiser, I want to churn joy more. I want to be happier. That's why, I told you I ran for city councilor, but I won't do that again because I don't think it's going to enhance my joy. And I don't think I could really fix anything for anybody.
Vancouver City Council.
Yeah, so anyways, God bless the people who do it, but I just realized after I ran that was a lose-lose situation, right? Like, if I couldn't make a difference and I was going to lose joy and gain, a pension, that just doesn't appeal to me. I'll figure out my own.
And you were saying people randomly, you're trying to go get eggs, and then all of a sudden something happens.
Yeah, when you're running for city councilor, you're kind of fair game to anybody out in the public sphere, right? So you could just be in a lineup, do you know what I mean? Like, trying to get some broccoli, or pad thai or something,
Okay,
and they're like,
then what happens?
"Hey, I want to talk to you about bike lanes, lady." We're like, "Oh no!"
And do they go on for like half an hour, or is it like quick and gone?
They usually have their spiel in their head ready to go, and they give you their sentence, and you're like, "Okay, well, he's just going to get eggs, but I heard what you had to say, and." See you later, whatever, right?
How many votes did you get?
I think what happens when you become a public person, you've kind of made a deal to be a public person. So it's like maybe you don't realize it right away, but then you're like, oh yeah, I kind of was agreement to this. So now, you always have to talk to the person who wants to talk to you because you've sort of. You like, oh, you get all this attention. You're like, I don't want the attention. It's a bit weird, right?
Yeah.
So,
but you had no idea what was coming.
That's something you learn along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not going to do it again?
Do what again?
Try and get elected.
I don't think so. I don't know. I think I did. I don't know. Like, I think less than 19% of the people voted in who could vote. Is that even a thing? 19%?
That sounds about right.
You were telling me earlier, though, about you said that EB, who's the guy who's the provincial premier right now, you said that he came from kind of a a nice spot, a nice happy spot, and now he's evolved. Can you explain that?
No, I mean, I just mean David Eby worked his way up the ranks, super legit and super altruistic. He started out in Pivot, right? That was like the, you know,
Describe Pivot in case somebody doesn't know.
I can't even remember, but they
Just
were
roughly.
obviously like there to
like
help
legal
street
defense for
people.
street people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Is that what it was? I can't even remember anymore. You guys are, I'm stoned. I ate a gummy before I came. I just remember like the
We expected you to
overarching,
be sober for
just
this.
the overarching part of the story. I don't know, but
It's okay.
And then I think he was probably the head of the BC Civil Liberties Association for a while. So yeah, I really enjoyed him. Yeah, you put the word out, pasteurized, and I thought that was great. You know, I don't have any particular beef against him, but I feel like he's a bit diluted probably where he is now. He's diluted. He's under too many obligations to too many people to get too much done. That a lot of, you know, and God bless him for trying. Maybe that's what I, you know, I mean, what do I know? Who knows? It could be a very fulfilling job.
Do you
But
think
it
he's
looked
getting
to
more
me
joy?
from where I was that yeah, would be like a really, you just be under scrutiny of the public. And now this kind of scrutiny, like, it's so wild because for years, you know, when life was analog, I was really like, hey, look at me, look at me. And as if it's gone digital, it's like, okay, quit looking at me. Like,
How are you finding the switch to digital? Because you have a Facebook page.
yeah.
What do you think of the world of digital? How do you feel about digital? You obviously are embracing it.
I guess so. Yeah. Like it obviously has its benefits. Like it can be very handy for sure. I just,
Handy for what?
like we used to mail our headshots in the mail with a stamp, you know, to your agent, and you know what I mean? Your agent would mail it to the casting agent. Come on now, right? We used to actually look at, like, remember looking at headshots through like the little viewfinder? Come on now. So I'm old school. When the world was analog, I was excelling, I think. And now that the world's digital, I'm not excelling anymore. I'm just not, it wasn't my medium, right? Like people are my medium. Human contact's my medium, right? So, and that's fine. Just a lot of people like are living inside their screens now. These screens with these algorithms that sort of appease them all the time. So they don't like to be disrupted sometimes by the outside world.
It's like a silo.
I'm finding that hard.
Echo chamber.
Like we're all like, I think maybe I'm just a bit bitter. We're all living in Vancouver trying to pay like thousands of dollars in rent for these apartments that we can't even afford to hang out in because we're so busy trying to make the rent for it. And then when you go there, you're supposed to be a goddamn church mouse or something. Do you know what I mean? Like be all quiet.
At your house?
Yeah, like, you know, I got a complaint at 6 o'clock the other day. I was like, whoa, lady, wow. Like
You're
6
listening to Dave
6
Brubeck.
p.m. I was ironing, listening to John Prine, you guys. I was like, no way, it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah, but how loud was it?
Well, that's what I said to her. I was like, really, how loud can it be? And she goes, she types me, she's texting, and she's like, well, it sounds like you're in my apartment playing the music. And then I thought, well, why text? You know what I mean? When you could just tell me then.
Knock on the door.
No, like,
Right back.
it's just thank you. It's a joke I wrote about my new neighbor, but, because anyways, I'm not sure what they expect at 6 o'clock. I'm not allowed to, I'm supposed to live quietly, or I'm not.
Can't listen to music at all.
I don't know. I've heard a lot of people telling me, like one guy, we went to play guitar in his new apartment building, 2 p.m. and the guy came knocking on the door like, that's a no.
What if you're
Like,
deaf? Isn't that discrimination?
I don't know.
I had an apartment
Anyways.
once, and this guy from downstairs came up, and he's like, how come every time I sit down to read a book, you guys are making noise? And my friend was like, get a better book. Shut the door. Fuck
Oh,
that guy.
good. Yeah, that's where I was sort of like, yeah, I want to be a
Middle of
good
the day.
neighbor. I want to
Yeah.
be a good neighbor.
No, the rules
but,
are, in society, you got till like 10 or 11.
Well,
You
that's
got
what
till
I
10.
thought. I thought, honey, call the landlord or call the cops, but lose this number. You know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So, anyways, we're not here to talk about me. This is Marcus. This is
Nothing.
Well, let's talk about Marcus.
You're the Yogi Shaman. I'm just like
Okay, I'd like you to switch gears. You interview him.
me interview him. Well, you know what? I'll begin with. I'm not sure where we met. Initially,
I messaged you and said, hey, do you want to read my book? And you
okay.
said yes.
I said yes. I love book reading, and
see that
I
already?
read the book.
Yeah, she actually read it. She wanted graffiti, and then you said, let's have dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. And I've gone on to read, I think I read, anyways,
I need a
read
book.
quite a few books.
do some
Read
and
a book, man.
I personally also love LSD. So there, I said it out loud.
Yeah. Interesting.
Did you see colors?
Yeah, generally you see.
I don't know. Just asking.
That's probably the least interesting.
I'm just
Yeah.
teasing. I don't know.
I'm not on LSD right now. I see colors.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you normally see
Okay, so
colors.
let's come back to Yogi Shaman.
Yeah, Yogi
So,
Shaman.
so you guys met each other and you did dinner after the book kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then how did you get to know each other? Like,
Then you invited me over to your party there for your barbecue thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Tell them.
I host I don't anymore, I've moved, but I used to host this big barbecue every year.
You can't host that at your new place. They don't even listen to John Prine.
Oh my God. Like crimes against humanity, right? Anyways, I would just like cook up like marijuana hamburgers and marijuana margaritas. And so it was called a barbecue. And
Okay.
we would have a barbecue, but put small doses of marijuana. So I used to throw these parties, these sort of marijuana sampling parties, where I would put very low doses of marijuana so people could have an entire meal, feel full, not get too high, not sleep over, that kind of thing, right? So, and I think he came to one of those.
I did.
Yeah. And then you get the gist of me after you're like, all right, you know.
Yeah.
How long was that?
That
Like
was
how long?
2017.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
It's
And
evolved.
she
since
never
then.
invited me back to another one.
Oh, yeah? That's not true.
No, that's not true. No.
You just get the Facebook group invites like everybody else. That's another way digital's great.
amazing
So
for
that's
that.
another, I mean, you know, it's not all bad.
So this digital, so you've got digital because you know you need a presence, right? That's kind of why you're doing it. Because I don't see candies on there.
It's on there.
Well, I have
Facebook.
a Licorice Parlor page.
Oh, yeah, a different one.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I
And,
didn't do a whole bunch of homework, so I don't know.
Yeah, no worries. These are just old, like I modeled marijuana for years. These are old magazine photos for marijuana magazines.
Ah, okay.
You get paid for that?
Yeah.
So what would you call yourself, the character, like in that?
Marijuana diva.
I just was the weed diva. We used to have this photographer and we would just shoot for a long time. I was on the cover of High Times a couple times. I've been on the cover of Cannabis Culture, Skunk Magazine. I don't know. I was like probably the only weed model in the world for a
there
little
you go.
while.
You got a glow in the dark hula hoop there. That's
No.
what I'm talking about.
No, that's the lighting.
No, it's just the lighting.
We're watching a Facebook.
This is at an event I hosted called Reefer Jazz, where I just like bring in a jazz band and like we all get super baked and listen to jazz. It was the most popular event I'd thrown in a while.
No, that's cool. That's like fun.
Yeah.
I think we should do some more of those at Frankie's down the street.
Yeah, well, I was just at Frankie's not long ago. My buddy is a flautist. This guy named Jeremy Price, and he's the guy. I mean, they're the band playing at this
Oh, that's amazing.
thing we're watching that people on the radio cannot see. So back to you,
They have to
Marcus Rummery,
Well,
and your
you're
awesome
also a
book,
hula hoop expert.
right? Yeah, and you know when I'm the best hula hooping? When I take just a little bit of LSD, I am the greatest hula hooper ever. I gotta tell you, oh my God, yeah,
Do you
really,
think it would be
really
placebo
improves the
if you
hoop.
took a placebo and you wouldn't hula hoop as well?
I don't know. It just loosens you up in the right way. I take microdoses. Like, I don't need to take a lot, but yeah. Yeah. I'm like the Silicon Valley of hula hoopers. I just microdose before I practice my hoop every day.
Well, it looks like it's almost lost down out to your ankles, and all of a sudden you bring it back up, and then it just keeps on going and going. It's great.
Thank you.
It's a talent. I definitely think a hula hoop night at Frankie's has got to happen.
It's got a
Yeah,
small
she's
spot.
moving it up and down her body. They can't see this in the radio land there,
But they can imagine.
I didn't notice that before. That's pretty impressive. You get that on there, Licorice?
So-
I remember you said that your mom had some kind of autoimmune thing, and you're like, she needs to take acid, and I was like, oh, she should cleanse first, and you're like, she doesn't take anything. She doesn't eat. She eats vegetables and drinks water.
Exactly. No, she
And I was like, well, that's not good.
But you know, yeah, I don't want. That's
Can't
a
go
rabbit
down.
hole we can't walk down right now.
We
because-
are cautioning, if you do drugs, you need to know what you're doing.
Yeah. No.
It would
Yeah.
be better if you knew what you were doing. I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing, but you relatively speaking.
You know what I love? Actually, you know what I love about drug culture nowadays, and I think psychedelics is gaining a lot of mainstream, not just popularity, but it really mainstream. Like mushrooms, mushroom places everywhere.
They're now at the weed dispensary level that it was 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm on the drive every day. Me and my boyfriend go in, and we have a $6 budget because there's a pinball game in this mushroom dispensary, just like old school. I think it's just there as a prop, but Gary and I play it every day because we're in our 50s, and I think all the girls are young there, but we're like, anyways, we made high score. So for Valentine's, Gary made high score, and he put my initials in.
Oh,
I want that for a Valentine's.
should be on happy days.
Did it cost him more than $6?
No. He could somehow he won some jackpot. He wound up with like 5 million or something. So, anyways, it was a pretty sweet Valentine.
Aw.
So you don't take any full doses of psychedelics, you just take microdoses.
No, what I was gonna say is, and I haven't for years taken a full dose, but what I was gonna say about the new culture is the microdosing. I kind of like that. Like when we were growing up, nobody, like, it was like everything was hardcore, right? When we were growing up, you drank all the beer, you smoked all the cigarettes, you took all the drugs, right?
Hell, there was
Nobody
a
was
garbage
like,
bucket full of
nobody
booze,
was-
and they all
because-
drank it all up.
you were trying to do it in a clandestine way or something, right? And then, nobody thought like, hey, why don't we just take a little bit? Like, I don't know, that never...
Yeah.
And so now I like that the culture is really kind of more, they're doing it, but they're a lot more conservative about it.
Placebo doses.
I think more educated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have the breakthrough experiences either. It's too controlled for that.
Well, then there's risk.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm not advocating anything irresponsible.
There you
but,
go.
I
You're
do
not
like,
advocating
very
microdosing.
slow doses is great. Yeah. Like,
It is good, yeah, but it's completely different.
There's a whole concept of microdosing for all kinds of things, so people can look that up, figure that out.
Yeah, and getting back to Marcus's book here, like these guys, like they were macro dosing, like they were taking huge doses, like, yeah,
Yeah,
Describe this book a little bit.
yeah.
So Smart Graffiti is in the Purdue Archives of Psychoactive Drugs. This is the second edition, and it's about Hollywood Hospital, where they had a LSD mescaline clinic for almost 20 years in New Westminster. And they were like, Watermelon was saying, they were given like massive doses. Like,
Did people know about it?
people know about it, yeah.
The people knew they were getting massive doses.
Oh, of course they did.
Oh, okay. Well, explain further.
Yeah, you'd write in and you'd pay $475. You had to pay a deposit. And then you would
You'd pay your deposit.
write write an autobiography and do personality inventory and have your session, and you would take like 10 hits of LSD and then like 5 hits of mescaline, whatever, like huge amounts, single overwhelming dose. They would call themselves,
With a doctor there.
well, not necessarily a doctor, but a therapist, a sitter.
Okay.
Doctors generally passed it off to other people to actually sit there because it's it's an 8 to 10 hour thing. They don't have time for that.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so they were evaluated by a psychiatrist, and he would prescribe the dose,
Okay.
and they'd make diagnosis but it was a different system than they have now.
So the book details this, but what's the book about?
There's 30 files in here from Hollywood Hospital, and it also talks about my own experience where I had a death rebirth experience with psilocybin and the antidepressant dizipramine. And then I read this guy Stanislav Grof, and then when I came across the Hollywood Hospital stuff, I said, oh, this is very similar. And there's like 30 experiences from the medical files at Hollywood Hospital. And then I go through the entire history of psychedelics and the coevolution of drugs in the brain, because drugs change culture, which changes the brain, which changes how the drug experiences work. And there's a kind of a synergistic relationship there that Timothy Leary talked about a lot. Like, for instance, in the 1500s, they started to index all the animals and vegetables and minerals. And right at the time that caffeine comes along and tobacco comes along, and these are stimulants. Without those stimulants, you wouldn't have the concentration to to do all of this stuff. So, you know,
So the book just entails these files of people going through the
starts with the
experiences.
files. Yeah, 30 experiences, and then it goes back to the whole history, like from the like stoned ape theory of Terence McKenna that says that when the ice age receded from northern Africa, there were humans. This about 100,000 years ago, anatomically modern Homo sapiens started eating small doses of psilocybin mushrooms to improve their visual acuity for hunting. And then at higher doses, they started to have experiences of like synesthesia, sense blending, sound into visuals, and they were improving language, predicting predicting what the prey was going to do, predicting the weather.
So psychedelics on a safari would be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, because you see, it helps you supposedly, according to Terence McKenna, it helps you detect differences in your peripheral vision, so you can see better and helps you hunt.
Oh, okay.
And then they took higher doses, and they created an orgiastic matriarchy, where paternity could not be determined because it was orgiastic. So it was a matriarchy. Women were like the goddesses. This is Terence McKenna's thing. And then this receded to the ego and like agrarian lifestyle that we live in now, with like writing, civilization.
So when somebody reads your book, what do you expect them to, at the end of it, think?
I don't really want to tell them what to think.
No, just guessing to give people an idea.
That there's a lot more to the brain than they had imagined.
Okay, fair enough.
And there's a lot more possibilities, because right now we're talking about it all the time. But like once you actually get in there and start running some sessions, you know, then you get to the action.
Got it. So shamanic, graffiti.
Shaman, showman.
So how would you say it?
Clitoris.
Shamanic?
Clitoris.
Shamanic graffiti?
Shamanic graffiti.
Shamanic graffiti. Okay, that's the name of the book by Marcus Rummery,
Yeah.
like it sounds. And who's Frank Ogden?
Frank Ogden was Dr. Tomorrow, and he was the sitter from 63 to 68. And that's how I got the files.
So he doesn't exist as a person that you were talking to.
Yeah. He was a guy I knew. I actually met him. I made a movie about him for a film course I was doing.
Did he write parts of the book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's co-written by both of you.
Well, he wrote about his experience. There's like 5 pages or something that he wrote.
Okay.
But he also had the medical files, and I couldn't have done it without him. I wouldn't have had these files. But his daughter always comes after me for money. And she's like, hey, listen, do you know how much it cost me to do this? Like people have no idea. In any case, Dr. Tomorrow was the sitter from 63 to 68. He had all the files. When his boss, Ross McLean, he had a heart attack, sold the hospital, gave the files to Frank because he didn't want them to go to the Canadian Medical Association because he thought that they would either destroy them or not understand them.
It's funny how people want to get rid of information.
Well, he was trying to protect it. They were trying to protect it, so Frank kept it, and then he was like, here, use this and write a book about it.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
We wanted some background on you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's come back to Watermelon. Bring her back on in. So,
Okay.
Did you used to date Zach Galifianakis?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
who's that?
You don't know who Zach Galifianakis is?
No, I don't.
Yeah, he knows.
Explain.
He wasn't famous when we dated. I'm sorry if that's any
Doesn't matter.
consolation.
No, it's better.
I mean, he was still acting. Yeah, he was just the guy in Hangover.
Oh, okay.
The guy, yeah.
The little weird guy.
Yeah, he's very funny.
Very funny.
I was a stand-up
Really?
comic for a long time, and so was Zach. And so I was also like, his weed dealer, probably.
Watermelon.
So, well, I used to sometimes, because I would often like go to the Sutton Hotel or whatever and sell like actors and stuff weed,
Cool.
or whatever. And I was actually
That's where all the actors hang out in the Sutton.
when
Because
they
that's where
used
stay.
to, anyways.
They
I don't.
used to,
I don't
yeah,
know
20
if
years
they
ago
do
for
anymore.
sure.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
Yeah, but Sarah Silverman was in town doing some comedy. She was pretty famous, I guess. And all the other female comics were just too nervous of her. But comics are just comics. They're not really movie stars. They're very different, right? So I just asked her, and she came to a couple of my gigs.
Nice.
And then I'd sell her weed. So when Zach came to town to stay at the Sutton, she sent me there to sell him some weed. Or pot cookies, I can't remember. Yeah, anyways.
And then you said, here you go, here's some cookies. And he said, honey.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think we were just comics like will always like hang out together because they always go out for comedy together, right? So he was new to town, so I'd take him out to the comedy scene. We were hanging out that way. It was just,
Got to know each other.
It was a natural progression or whatever. But yeah, we're still good friends. He actually married a Canadian woman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So comedy, both of you guys do comedy.
I used to. I haven't done it in a long time. But yeah, I did lots of comedy.
Okay.
I didn't date Zach Galifianakis, but I did stand up.
But isn't the comedy world kind of, it's hard to make a living,
Yeah.
right?
Did you make a living at it?
Not really.
No.
So why'd you do it? You liked it?
Still made
So
money.
I sold everybody weed after the show. Or before, or during.
I like it.
Yeah.
You are an entrepreneur.
Thank you.
No question about it.
It's the great BC way.
It is, isn't it?
So you would host a show, bring up a comic, sell some weed, and then go back on stage?
You know, I was producing events for a long time, so we'd make a lot of money. We'd produce these. Like, before Burlesque was big, we were doing, like, vaudeville, I think. And some of the earliest Burlesque in this town I was involved in, like, a long time ago, like 25, 30 years ago. And so I was doing a lot of theater and producing a lot of events. But then everybody just knew me for selling pot cookies, so then I would just obviously, like, sell everybody pot cookies. Or sometimes I'd dress up like the cigarette girl, you know, and I'd go to these like burlesque events. But I'd have I'd have cigarettes and stuff on the tray, but I'd be like, cigarettes, cigars, weed, marijuana, mushrooms, hashish, you know. And then I would but what I would do is I would do it and so people would kind of be like, what? She's selling drugs back when they were illegal. Nobody gives a shit now. Remember, it's legal. But I wouldn't do it for very long. Like, I'd do it for maybe about 35, 40 minutes, and then you just leave. Like, you got to be like a drive-by shooting. Like, before anybody, like, security, because you do it so blatantly, right? Yeah. I would just so blatantly, I'd walk through with the outfit, you know, but I'd sell a whole bunch of drugs, and then I'd just go. People like, wait, I wanted to buy something. I'm like, tough shit, I got to go.
Smart.
Yeah, so, you know, you don't want to hang out too long when you were criminal. You can't even be, you know, those were the days. You can't be... It was like Starsky and Hutch, and that was like 10 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so what are you doing now for fun?
What do I do now for fun? I hula hoop.
I like it. Hey, can I motivate you to go? Because cycles are in fashion, like 20-year cycles. And if you were producing shows 20 years ago, wouldn't it make sense to do some
Bring
shows?
back the vaudeville.
Something. Or even the hula hoop with the flautist.
The flautist.
Flautist, yeah.
Flautist?
Yeah, well, anything is possible. I'm just in talks with the people who own Weeds. Weeds
They're
gifting.
still going?
Yeah, they have a couple of stores, one in Seashelt and one on Kingsway, and she wants me to host a cooking show for them. But I have to it'll be the first time I've ever used legit, like I have to use the products from their store. But I've been black market my whole life or whatever. But anyways, I would. They're great. They're great.
So you're going to use like government weed? Government
Yeah, and
products?
we're actually in discussions about it tomorrow night, about hosting a marijuana dinner event or marijuana dinner events. So, yeah. So
Yeah, I think that's the future, weed events. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't necessarily do it with smoking in a room because it's just not
it's
legal.
the future. It was my past. I've been doing it forever, right?
Well,
I've been doing this stuff forever.
But it's like a movie.
Now that it's cool, I don't want to do it, right? I'm like, all right, you guys take over, whatever. I already
But you
did
do a
that.
cooking show with your mom, don't you?
I did years ago, though.
you did
That
years
was
ago,
years
okay.
ago. My first cooking show was rented at Rogers. It came out in 2002.
Oh, yeah.
Like, YouTube wasn't around yet.
It was weed?
Go
Or just
Rogers.
cooking?
No, it's a marijuana cooking show.
Community Channel 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you were on Pod TV back in the day when that was getting started?
Yeah, I had some of the, yeah, it was called the Watermelon Underground, actually. That was funny, too,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I did a lot of weird stuff.
So are you going to...
Including this radio show.
This is the weirdest thing you've done.
I was like, oh, I gotta stop smoking so much pot. What do I get myself into?
It's okay. Everything that you're saying will be quoted in the future to future generations.
Yeah.
For
In
thousands of
digits.
years.
Yeah. It'd be
What's
on the
Mark
moon.
Emery like?
Oh, there you go.
You
There
know, actually, he's a well thought out guy, to be honest. Like, I don't, he's got his problems or whatever. I get it, but I don't know. Yeah, he never bugged me or harassed me in any way. So I don't have a personal beef with him, right? I wasn't his best friend. I didn't want to socialize or hang out with him that much.
No.
But I did like a lot of his politics. He did a lot for the marijuana movement. He was a provocateur like Dana Larson. You have to appreciate that kind of diligence to, I actually kind of believe that the activists I ran with, including Mark Emery and Dana Larson, like, were pretty instrumental probably in legalizing marijuana in this country, right? Like, so many charter
government.
challenges and everything. And I think they're trying to do that with mushrooms right now, back to psychedelics. Like, the exact same model they're pushing, like, so I guess it's a Schedule I drug if there's no medicinal quality to it. But now with everybody depressed, we just found out antidepressants never did work or whatever. It was just all a shot in the dark. Mushrooms is making, and I think they're using the same model. Like, all you got to do is come with a prescription that says, you're an antidepressant, and we'll sell you mushrooms.
Yeah.
Which
But
was
it's
the
not the same
exact.
as weed because you don't really use it as much. Like you might microdose every day, but you're not going to take doses of it much. People go camping once in the summer and they take a dose of mushrooms, but they don't.
For sure. But they want a safe supply or a safe place or a place, a
for sure.
trusted place
But it's
where
not
they
going to
can
be
go
the
back and
business that cannabis
complain.
was. That's what I'm saying. Because it's just the market is not the same size.
Yeah, they're gonna make it the business. There'll be tourism that. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's a pretty great model because, like I said, Dana just did this awesome thing where he mailed the MLAs one dried coca leaf, which is like the size of a loonie, not even, and one little dried cute little mushroom. And, wanted to bring attention to sort of like the drug war or whatever, and the poisonings, however you want to call this sort of crisis we're going through. So anyways, hook, line, and sinker, he's such a great provocateur. They're all like, oh my God, the horror. We called the RCMP. I mean, this is outrageous.
Did they call him?
They did. The RCMP are investigating. It was also, Mike Farnsworth or something like, oh yeah, we're all like investigating. There's every MLA got and it's like it's like it looks like a basil leaf, right, and a dried shiitake mushroom. Okay, so they just kind of step right into Dana's trap, right, with the hysteria, with this completely unwarranted. And there's like a drug war. There's literally people dying right outside their building, right where they're typing or getting outraged, right where they're calling the police. People are dying of a drug poisoning that's taken over the city.
Yeah, those
you know what I
little
mean?
glass meth pipes, right?
And they're like, we gotta get the guy who sent the bay leaf.
There was somebody selling methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin.
Yeah, no, that guy was a great guy, Jerry. He passed away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We're
that
we're
was
talking Wreck
unfortunate.
Beach again.
No,
No,
we're
not Red
not.
Beach,
Not
just-
at
I think
all.
it's
something else. Oh, okay,
We're
tell
talking
me.
they're harm reduction people. But yeah.
Okay. I'm
Jerry Martin.
Got
Yeah, he was trying to do that, but it's just such a deep dive. We can't walk down that deep dive. Let's go back to something light and airy here.
Okay, let's quickly hit Jody, Mark Emery's Jody. Anything on her? Because I think she's got
She's
a future.
fantastic. She's you think I'm no entrepreneur next to her. Jody Emery's a fantastic entrepreneur. She's a really sweet,
What's she doing in
wonder-
business right now? I have no idea.
I mean, outside of what I see in her thing, but she got her license, so she's gotten a license to do some cannabis shops. She's got her retail stores.
Okay.
I mean, any number of things. That girl is like no slouch. Yeah.
Okay.
Sophie Trudeau, Trudeau's wife, has a gummy CBD gummy line.
Oh, nice. Well, whatever. She's got the reach, right? So.
She has another partner already. He's like some surgeon or something. So I don't know the backstory on the Trudeau thing, but seems as soon as she's gone, country's gone down the hill. I don't know.
That's what it is?
I don't know. Well,
I think she
something
was
happened
gone before they started.
Yeah, I think you're right.
She's there. She was probably just physically gone.
yeah.
But who cares, those guys? It's not like I thought. Let's not go deep down. Let's go talk about Jerry Martin dying of an overdose before we talk about
Jerry
Trudeau.
Martin.
All right. You guys want to talk about something light,
Yeah.
or do you want to keep going?
The guy who tried to sell the methamphetamines. Yeah.
He overdosed.
Yeah, unfortunately he did. Yeah, but he's the one who tried to open that drugstore. Is that the guy you're talking about for harm reduction? Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, he was an excellent individual. Actually, it was very unfortunate.
All right. So the fun stuff is controversial, but we don't want to get too dark.
Yeah,
So-
right. Keep it light for the kids.
Totally. There.
Wave 98.3.
That's not me. Not me. This is just the facility we're utilizing. Anyway.
Yeah, we're not affiliated.
no.
We're not affiliated with Wave
Oh, my.
98.3 in any way. We don't want to imply.
Because Watermelon's got a picture here right now on the Facebook, and it's a bunch of watermelon. How long ago was that?
That was taken. It says right on there, but it was taken by Vancouver Sun.
Oh, okay.
That
All
was
right.
a picture in the Vancouver Sun.
And you're at Red
I think
Beach?
it was about my retirement.
Oh, this is the
Everybody
end.
wrote when I retired. I called the press and I told them I was retiring. Everybody wrote an article.
Well done.
That's
There's a
how
lot of
long
articles,
that's how long I vended watermelon on Wreck Beach.
Did you sell a lot of-
illegally? By the way, I was just a guerrilla vendor. I look sweet, but I'm a pretty serious anarchist, I think.
How many watermelons do you go through in a day back then?
Oh, 3 big watermelons was a heavy carry and a lot to sell. 3 big watermelons.
So
was-
what,
give it
what's
away
a
to
slice of
pre-workouts.
watermelon go
And
for?
I give all the kids free watermelon, yeah.
Oh, wow. So what would it cost for one of those slices?
$2.
$2. Oh, there's a deal. So you blast through it. How long would it take to get sell it all?
You could just, if you wanted to just wait till the end of the day, about 5:36, you could just sell it all in one shot. But I like to spread it out throughout the day, make sure different people had access to fruit and get all the kids. So I would, you could sell it as quickly. Well, I don't know. I could sell it as quickly, depending on the day, of course, depending on the weather, right?
Sounds like you went with a lifestyle and you made some money along the way.
Yeah, it was just a sweet way to get me around the beach while I sold pot cookies.
Oh, the cover. You're good at the cover. You're out doing the cops undercover cover.
Well,
Except
now
they
that
got
it's
you
all-
that one time.
Yeah.
And then when they arrested you and everyone stood up and everything, how did you win that case? What happened
They
there?
got me one time. They got me 3 times. I had 3 provincial acquittals. I had 3 provincial trials and 3 provincial acquittals.
And how did you get up? How were they? What happened?
Well, I was framed, you guys. I was innocent.
You were framed?
Yeah, I was totally innocent.
Innocent of what?
She gave her cookie that she was going to eat to someone else. You just happened to give her
They
a
sent
cookie.
my cookie to a lab because it's a cookie, so they can only assume there's cannabis in it. They sent it to a lab, and the lab detected cannabinoids were present, but it couldn't really quantify measurements or prove origin of source. Which means it didn't know how many cannabinoids were in there, and it didn't know which cannabinoids were in there. But standard operating procedures suggested that if cannabinoids are present, you automatically call it cannabis resin. So I was charged with trafficking in cannabis resin, which is different than trafficking in cannabis marijuana. As my lawyer put it, if you have marijuana in one pocket and hash in another pocket and you are stopped, you are charged with 2 things: trafficking with cannabis marijuana and cannabis resin. And this is where it's interesting. If you have more than 30 grams of cannabis marijuana, it's more of a charge than if you have less than 30 grams. But if you have more than 1 gram of hashish, it's more of a charge than less than a gram, which means they think hashish is 30 times more potent.
Some good
Now,
hash.
none of this fucking matters anymore because weed's legal, but whatever, I'll tell the
That was a
story.
different time, yeah.
It's a different time, and it wasn't very long ago.
So you got off because you said it was cannabis resin and there wasn't any actual cannabis?
No, standard operating, they didn't even know what cannabinoids were there. All they said was cannabinoids are present. Standing operating procedures said charge her with trafficking in cannabis resin. So I actually asked my lawyer at halftime, I'm like, well, ask if I put hemp oil in there, if cannabinoids would be present. And they're like, yeah. And then even their guy had to be like, yeah, if hemp seeds were in there, and hemp seeds weren't illegal. So that's how I got off on 2 of them, and one of them was illegal search and seizure. But yes, I had 3 acquittals. 3 acquittals.
John Conroy was your lawyer?
John Conroy, the greatest lawyer this province, country maybe has ever seen. Thank you, John Conroy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is he still active?
No, not really, but I saw him the other night. I guess they were celebrating a 14-year win, so they had started a case 14 years ago. It was probably a charter challenge of some kind, and they had just won it. I can't remember. I only remember the lawyers. I don't remember the guys who were involved with the case, but there was a fun little smoke easy we all went to, and I saw John Conroy and Kirk Tusaw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's he doing now?
I'm not sure. I didn't stay very long. I had to go, and John's retired, and he's got a beautiful farm, and he lives with his beautiful wife, and he's got beautiful grandchildren, and his life has French kissed him because he's a great guy, and he deserves it.
Yeah. He did all the drug cases in Vancouver. And
He did a lot of the marijuana stuff, but more importantly, he did a lot of the charter challenges, right? And sort of like the things like, well, if it is helping this AIDS patient, if it is helping this insomniac, if it is getting this person off opioids, why is the court criminalizing them and their medicine? So that, you can start with lower cases, but eventually you got to take it up and ask why. And those medical cases probably broke open the doors for marijuana legalization.
yeah, and now it's like they don't really want to do medical marijuana anymore. They just want to say, "There's marijuana."
Yeah, touche. Because then they got to pay in Canada. They got to pay for the weed. Yeah, of course, right. So, and interesting. I suspect now psychedelics are right on the you couldn't legalize psychedelics first. You had to legalize weed first, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a
what
process.
they're doing with psychedelics is making new ones that they're going to patent.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, they are. That's what they're working on.
The thing is you want to be a little bit skeptical, and I'm not saying, I'm just saying, no, but Keith Richards, Willie Nelson, these guys are still alive, and young people are dying all over the place. So maybe tried, tested, and true drugs, just you know what I'm gonna say. If you're gonna do them, just maybe know your source, know your dealer. Maybe don't get too nouveau.
I hear a lot of times a guy will get his girlfriend to try some gummies or something, and the dose he has is like, I'll take a half a gummy or I'll take a whole gummy, and she ends up taking even a quarter gummy, and then it's too much.
Yeah.
Right? And then she has a bad experience. And then you got to wait 6 months or a year before she tries it again. So dosage is really important to start small and work your way up.
Yeah, touche.
Plus with CBD, people they say it's non-psychoactive, but it's less psychoactive. Because this couple came in and they when I was working at a dispensary, and they were in recovery, and they worked at Insight, and they were all tatted up like Christian recovery type people. Get a CBD joint, they smoke it. She has to go to bed. She's ruined her sobriety of 20 years or whatever, 10 years, because she's fucked. And
From
then
a CBD joint?
yeah, I mean it could be suggestion, but it's still psychoactive. Just
Now in the States, in certain states, you can buy CBD oil over the counter, and you don't have to have anything special. But here, I don't think you
yeah,
can.
I know you can buy CBD here.
Is it legal?
Yeah, of course it is.
So you can buy
Everything's
CBD
legal.
oil.
THC is legal.
Well,
Yeah.
but can you get it outside of I think it was availability, because marijuana dispensary is not going to have a whole series of CBD, is it?
Probably for
Yeah, it
pets,
does.
you can. No problem.
outside of it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, you go to the pet center. You can just eat those dog treats.
And there's a question. Would weed be good for a dog?
No, they don't like it.
Okay.
They get really sick. What do you think?
They don't like it, but I'll say this, I had this elderly cat, and he was seizing, and it was just, man, it broke my heart. And so I would sneak marijuana in. I had to be so creative. I'd be injecting it into a drumette and everything. And it staved off his, but he hated it.
Yeah,
He hated it so much.
you can taste it.
Yeah, so I know a lot of pets that have been helped with cannabis, but they hate it.
Well, another guy came in the dispensary and he's like, I take a drop, this Polish guy's like, I take a drop of CBD. Nothing happens. I drink the whole bottle. I see myself from the ceiling.
That's spiritus, that stuff I was telling you about. There you go.
So be careful at home with your CBD.
Oh, man.
Don't drink the whole bottle.
So in your life, you've had a very full life, and it's not done by any means. And I think in the future, we were talking about some other stuff behind the scenes. We'll talk about that as part 2. But right now, what's next? You said the candy licorice world is pretty much, you got that figured out, and you got that dialed in, and it's just a matter of what you're going to do with it. Have you got ready for the next step of whatever is getting your interest? Because you're into all kinds of things. Have you, or are you just sort of like, nah, I'm just hanging out, chilling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of things. like I have a farm in Kamloops too. So, and that, like, I don't live there, but maybe one day I will. So, but that takes a bit of my time. And I've been dabbling back in comedy again, stand-up comedy. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I had all these aspirations when I was young, and I don't know, they're all out the window now. I just kind of want to, be calm and enjoy my life and do it my way. And I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. A lot of my drive is gone that I used to have, right? Desperate to like get out and talk to the masses. And now I'm like, man, I don't know.
Masses can fuck themselves.
Yes, I mean, sometimes I'm just not that excited or whatever. Although I went out twice now and did comedy and I got a great reception. So sometimes you got to be careful. Like, you get this bad idea about, like, this is just almost off track, but I went to Quebec in June and we were in Montreal and then we went to Quebec City. And I don't know why, but I think I expected the French people to be just a little bit rude or maybe look down at me when I didn't speak French. None of that. None of that is true. None of that's not even true in the least. And then you realize, like, what a great job media can do in just swaying you into this idea about an entire group of humans, right? You get there, I came from Vancouver. I'm so sorry. Like, we get the shoddiest service in the world and pay the biggest tips. Mm-hmm. In Montreal, they were the greatest. It was the most efficient, awesome service. I couldn't believe it, man. And they're shooting for 15% is like, you really loved your service there, right? Mm-hmm. And so that kind of efficiency and like everybody was efficient and great. And I just kept remarking, like, and I don't know where this idea came. I don't know, maybe after the separatist thing or something, that thinking the French were going to be mean to me. And they were awesome. Yeah. And I'm sorry.
Well, the French are supposed to be rude. I don't know about Quebec. I've never thought Quebec French were rude.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I was going off a flawed premise, and I apologize.
You don't have to apologize. You learned.
Yeah.
Where did you do stand up?
Oh, just around town, like no place important.
No.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I'm just trying some stuff out. I'm not,
Can you do a bit?
Can I do a bit? Well, it's a bit. Yeah, okay. Maybe I did one about like bad branding in this town. Because so one time I'm driving along and I see all these cops on bikes, and at the banner at the front it said "Cops for Cancer." So I pulled over. I'm like, I gotta know, are you guys for cancer or against cancer, right? But either way, you need to fire your publicist immediately, right? And then I thought, and then I went in the other night to the Ernest Ice Cream, and on the door they have a transgendered flag, and then it says, "You are welcome here," which oddly to me, it kind of implies like there was a time when they weren't, which is like really weird because I cannot remember a time that transgender people weren't allowed in an ice cream parlor. However, I was a tree planter in the 90s in Prince George, and they used to hang signs like, "This is a tree planting friendly atmosphere," because a lot of stores didn't like tree planters because dirty hippies have been the OG of unwelcome since time immemorial. So I thought, this is a really dumb campaign. It's like stating the obvious. You really want to be like woke. You want to be provocative. You'd be like, "Nazis are welcome here," or something. You know what I mean? Like, "Hey, we thought about it. Nazis are welcome here." And it turns out Nazis are welcome, but only in Parliament, not in Ernest Ice Cream yet. But
That's great.
Well done. And people love this stuff, right? When you did it, you were getting.
Well, I was a bit nervous.
It's edgy.
But yeah, it's a bit edgy, right? But
thing in there, you got the Nazis.
Yeah, you just say the word, right?
And they took that out of Hansard when they had the Nazi guy. They struck that from the record. The Liberals.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
cover up.
They say comedy is tragedy plus time, okay? What happened in Parliament is a tragedy. I waited a couple of months and I told the joke.
Now it's funny now. There you go. Hey, have you ever thought of doing hula hoop while doing comedy? You'd be good.
No, but I once wrote a comedy sketch. I was doing comedy with these girls called The Wrong Show. We called it Comedy Broadville. And I wrote a sketch called Hula Hookers. It'd be like, "Hey, you want to go around? Do you like a big hole? I got a big hole." Anyways, thank you. Back to you, Marcus.
I think we wrap it up. You think it's time?
I think we need a guitar solo at the end here. Rob has a tiny
Watermelon,
guitar.
we love you.
Oh my God.
We're not done yet. We got 1
You
minute.
got an outro. You got an outro with your music.
Extra. We got the intro. We got 1 minute. Licorice, do your act.
That's almost over.
The final
Any last
minute.
words for anybody? I'd put you on the spot.
You said
I
your,
think you
your
said it.
philosophy is to have experience as much joy as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you find that that's eating at your drive a little bit, or giving you more drive.
I think it worked.
I think you have to give a lot of yourself when you want to always be in front of crowds and be in front of people, right? And maybe I don't want to commit as much anymore to those kind of like if I do, I'm going to commit to it my way, right? I think before I was just maybe a little too wanton, or I don't know. It was just different. Now I'm just kind of like, I mean, you know.
Maybe you don't have a crusade now because marijuana's legal.
Yeah, I used to actually, now that I'm back doing comedy, I would end my act always with get free the weed was like the end of my act. And so I keep getting to the end of my act and then I'm like, what do I say? Like I don't have an
Cage it back up again.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say on the way out now.
Free the
I'm like,
mushrooms.
what
Free Dana Larson.
yeah.
You're Vancouver.
Microdose psychedelics. Okay,
like
I'm
Vancouver's-
watermelon, microdose psychedelics. Good night.
You're Vancouver's Chelsea Handler.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. there you
All
go.
right, 60 minutes.
Done. We're just waiting for that extra.
Done.
Okay,
Great
there
work,
you go.
everybody. Thanks, Watermelon.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think that was funny and entertaining and interesting.